Hello, everyone. I just wanted to make a short video for us this morning. It's Monday morning, the 18th of May. We got to go back to church yesterday. We're still in the coronavirus and a whole lot of restrictions, but it's got better. We got to go to church yesterday, and I preached this that I'm about to read to you this morning at Meridianville, and I thought I'd share it with you also. And it says, "Behold, how good." I'm in Psalm 133. I'm going to read the first verse. I think the first verse only, and it's in the King James Version of the Bible. It says, "Behold, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity." And nothing happens until we get united, whether it be a church or a marriage or whatever. Nothing good happens till we become united. I thought about Paul on his way to Damascus. I've mentioned in other broadcasts he went to kill Christians and became one. And if Paul had went to Damascus one way and came back the same way, the story would have been different. But he came back different. When you go to church, you ought to come back different than you left for church. There ought to be a change in you. If you went in with your shoulders stooped, you need to go out with your head held high. The enemy, he don't really mind you enjoying church. Is come back home without being changed. If he can get you to do that, he don't care how much you enjoy church or whatever. And one thing that really hinders unity is criticism. We criticize things, and then we have to. You have to go through what you criticize. I mean, I have had that to happen to me over and over. I'm not a critical person. I haven't criticized a lot, but I have before, and I regretted it every time. If that was my child, you ever made a bold statement like that? If I was my child, he wouldn't do that. She wouldn't do that. And then your child does something just as bad. So Jesus died for these brother and sister who can't help it. God shows up when we unite, not until. He shows up and the yokes are broken when we unite. Mountains are moved when we unite. Everything moves and changes when we unite and come together. He talked in Psalms 133 that I just read about the anointing and the oil. You can just do so much more together than you can as one. I mean, just naturally, if you go outside and work in the yard or whatever you're talking about, if you got people working together, if you're loading a truck or unloading a truck or whatever, and you can get you a little assembly line going, you can do so much more. And the anointing and the unity flows best. Well, it only flows, I think, when you're serving. We're different people. We come from different backgrounds. Even a husband and wife, only those two, they come from different backgrounds. Like me and my wife, I came from one background and she came from another. She came from a church background. We didn't go to church, so her family was calm and for the most part, and that sort of thing. My family was kind of didn't know what to expect, kind of deal. You can only do so much by yourself. You need other people. And if you need other people, you need unity. You can only go so far in life. You can only go so far in the ways of the Lord by yourself. And have you ever seen a one-man band? I'm sure maybe a lot of you seen that. They got the cymbals and they got some kind of blowing a bugle and doing something with their feet clanging, and I just never have liked to watch it. I think that it's not any room for a one-man band in church. I don't want to operate that way at Regal. I don't want to do everything. I don't want to be the only one that can do everything. But I mean, you choose how you want to do it. But I just don't go for a one-man band. I think the enemy gets nervous when he sees us coming together as one. He does everything that he can do to separate us out. Even a husband and wife, it makes him nervous when we come together as husband and wives. I don't want to be the stubborn one in a relationship at church or at home or whatever. I want to be humble. And sometimes you have to give a little ground. You have to, I mean, you can say, I'm going to defend this ground. I ain't going no further. That's good in some areas, but in relationships, sometimes in a marriage, you have to be able to, it's kind of a give and take, you know. You can't be the one that's right all the time. I've seen people that seemingly it's appeared that they thought that they was right all the time. I have been wrong so many times. You know, you can a yield sign, you or a stop sign. You can be right and still die. So you got to you got to be flexible in some areas. And sometimes your greatest blessing will come disguised as your greatest burden. A lot of times there's opportunity in the trial part of it. Don't just try to discard your trial and detest it and not want anything to do with it. Try to find out what was in there for you. So things come disguised as other things. That's why we miss so much. It was a blessing, but we saw it as a trial. It was disguised, and Jesus himself, he came disguised. You know, they was after Jesus. They was after Moses, but I guess when Jesus came, they were looking for a king, a palace, but he came in the flesh, and he was born in a stable and laid in a manger. So it kind of threw them off a little bit. We need to throw down our weapons of difference, fall down on our knees, and pray and humble ourselves if we're going to get along. You know, down here you can use money to buy things, and that's our commerce, is the money. But in heaven, there's not any money. It's not about money. It's about faith and love. If you're gonna get something done, if you're gonna get healing done, miracles done, you need some faith. And to get some faith, you need love, because it said, "Faith worketh by love." So your money is no good in heaven. If you want something from heaven, you don't use your money to buy it. You remember the man that tried to buy the gifts that the apostles had. It just popped in my mind. I wasn't prepared to tell you about it, but and it did not end well for him. You can't buy the things of God with money. You buy that faith with love. If your love is on training wheels, your faith is on training wheels. If your love is in intensive care, your faith is in intensive care. That's just the way it operates. I've said this on another video, but if I had $100 and I gave you 50, I wouldn't have 50. I wouldn't have 100. I'd have 50, and you'd have 50. But if I gave you all my love, I wouldn't have any less, and you would have all you could receive. Some things you add, but love can be multiplied. And I think I told you this little example, but I'll repeat it. Heard about a man, he had a flat, and he didn't have a jack, and here came a man and said, "Can I help you?" And he said, "Yeah, I don't have a jack, and, and I can't get this tire fixed." And this man says, "I've got a jack, I'll help you." And he helped him. And when it was over, the man that had the flat says, "Let me pay you." And the man with the jack said, "I don't want anything." And he begged him, and he said, "No, if you really want to help, when you see somebody that has a flat tire that don't have a jack, you loan them a jack and tell those 10 to help 10 more." So love truly can be multiplied. There's not a greater force on earth. It's greater than a volcano, a hurricane, a tornado, a tsunami. It's the greatest thing that there is love. And as a matter of fact, he said God is love. So if God is love, I want more of that, don't you? If I want to be like God, I need to be more loving and more forgiving. Until next time.